Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Connecticut had 167 people. Brian Fisher's My Name program is Focal Point, Network is AFR Talk. Connecticut is a state of 3.5 million people. Of that 3.5 million people, 344,000 of them lack insurance. So here is the market for Obamacare. According to the New Haven Register, quote, experts expect about 2/3 of the state's uninsured will gain coverage under health care reform. So they're expecting 229,000 people to storm the barricades and sign up for health care under Obamacare. But according to Connecticut Congressman Jim Hines, only 167 people even applied yesterday on the Connecticut Healthcare Exchange. That is 0.07% of the total number of people who were expected to gain coverage under Obamacare. So that is not going swimmingly. Now, I've got a piece here, townhall.com by Guy Benson. All of the glitches, delays, missed deadlines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I won't bore you with the whole thing, but NBC's got a piece. Here's how it starts off. The online health exchanges launched Tuesday, setting off a range of glitches, questions, and concerns about the system and the healthcare law. That's NBC. In Minnesota, there are, quote, already some glitches, end quote. Let's go to Wisconsin. Supposed to have these navigators to help you find your way around. The agency funded to help people in Northwest Wisconsin enroll in health insurance programs under the Affordable Care Act, like most others in the state, won't have certified helpers by Tuesday's official start date. Navigators won't be fingerprinted and background checks won't be completed until mid-October. Now, Wisconsin's actually going to do some background checks. They're actually going to do some fingerprinting. A lot of the states are not going to do it because that's no longer required under Obamacare. Oregon, they finally hit the quit button. They hit the abort button middle of the day yesterday. California's online exchange went offline middle of the morning. Missouri had problems. West Virginia, here's a story about a guy named John Tucci, stayed up until midnight Monday, hoping to enroll on West Virginia's new insurance marketplace at the first moment possible. 10 hours later, after 2 attempts at signing up and one 45-minute call with a consumer service agent, technical glitches have prevented the 60-year-old grandfather from purchasing a plan. And get this, this is a guy who is a registered Democrat, and he voted twice for Barack Obama. He said this, I'm fluent on the internet. I've applied for a lot of things. There are always glitches, but this was totally disappointing. I'm just really frustrated. Again, that's from a 2-time Barack Obama supporter, voted for him twice, and now after 10 hours cannot get any help on the Obamacare sign-up website. Honored to welcome to our decision-maker line Representative Steve Palazzo, who represents the 4th District here in the state of Mississippi and was a key player yesterday as these 91-year-old veterans who stormed the beaches at Normandy in 1944 stormed the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. Congressman Palazzo, thank you for taking time to chat with us.
Well, listen, thank you for having me on your show, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir. And I think a lot of our people are aware of what happened yesterday, but they would love to hear it again. You were there. You were on the spot. In fact, I think, Louis Gohmert, I saw him on Fox and Friends this morning, said, just magically, mysteriously, we looked down and these barricades had parted. I think maybe you might have had something to do with that mysterious and magical parting of the ways. But Congressman Palazzo, walk us through what happened yesterday.
Well, absolutely. This was about my 5th or 4th honor flight, and I normally go down to the memorial to meet the World War II survivors as they're coming off the bus, and then we escort them down, and it's usually myself and Senator Wicker will welcome them to their nation's capital, thank them for their service on behalf of a grateful nation and a grateful state. There's usually hundreds of tourists there clapping and crying and just cheering these people on. Well, when they got off the bus yesterday, they were met with steel barricades with a yellow ribbon that said "Police line, do not cross." I literally was heartbreaking, and it made me fighting mad to see this because we worked well in advance with the Park Service, Interior. We even wrote a letter to the president saying, if this should be open to all Americans, but if you're going to make an exception for our World War II survivors, and they didn't. So you mentioned a great American, Louis Gohmert, a great American, Rich Nugent, and several others were with me. The barricades were open. I was able to lead in the Mississippi delegation of the honor flight behind bagpipes, playing Amazing Grace. We're able to go lay a wreath at the foot of the Mississippi part of the memorial. And each and every veteran that came so far from home, many waiting 40 to 50 years to see this memorial, were able to see it, reflect, and remember. And it was an awesome experience.
Well, I'm looking at a post here from Northwest Ohio. They've got another one of these honor flights coming in next week, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, the Park Service has already told them, has warned them, they're going to be under arrest. They're threatening to haul these 91-year-old vets out of their wheelchairs, slap the cuffs on them, fingerprint them, throw them in the bus, and take them downtown. That's what they're threatening to do to members of these honor flights. And according to this Ohio piece, 99% of the veterans that come on these honor flights have never had the opportunity to see one of these memorials that's devoted to their service. So this is literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them.
A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see a memorial that was erected in their honor for their courage, their sacrifice, their commitment, and their loss. They don't have a second. If you wait until, say, next week or another month, they may not have the opportunity to do this. We know all too well that we're losing our World War II heroes at an alarming rate, and this may be their only chance to see this nation's memorial. And I think the American people have been incensed. This was so unnecessary. It's an open-air memorial. They're spending more time and effort to block our veterans than they are to just allowing them access. And again, I do think we're making a difference. I think shows like yours, Americans calling in to the president and to others, I think they're listening, because I feel like we're getting some movement. We took another group in this morning, and there was, again, the Park Service stood down and they honored our veterans. And I'm hoping by close of business today that we may see an exemption for our World War II veterans come either out of the White House, the administration, somebody, but possibly the Park Service.
And I believe, Representative Palazzo, that you've actually introduced legislation to make sure that all of the honor flights are granted access this week. Can you find any reason why the House and the Senate wouldn't pass that and the president wouldn't sign it in a heartbeat?
Absolutely not. I cannot figure out any reason why we would not only deny our veterans, but Americans. These monuments belong to them. And I will correct you a little bit. I have not introduced legislation. My colleague from Idaho, Mike Simpson, did that, and I'm 100% okay that he's leading that fight in the House with the legislation. I'm supporting it. And that's the reason I was kind of come on late this afternoon. We just passed a rule. We're going to be voting on that tonight. And I'm hoping, you'll see Republicans and Democrats come together, send a big message to the Senate so they cannot ignore the pleas of these veterans and the pleas of the American people to open these memorials to our vets.
I got two more questions for you, talking here with Representative Steve Palazzo from the 4th District of Mississippi about the visit of Mississippi veterans yesterday, a whole collection of them, to the World War II Memorial. And Representative Palazzo, Louis Gohmert was there from Texas. I'm proud of my Congressman, Alan Nunnally, who was there. Senator Roger Wicker from the state of Mississippi was there. Michelle Bachmann from Minnesota was there, and other congressmen there to kind of escort these veterans to be able to visit this war memorial. And I just want to revisit this, Representative Palazzo, before I ask you my last question one more time. When this issue came up, you were in contact with the heads of the National Park Service, the Department of the Interior, the Capitol Police, and even contacted the White House, and you couldn't make headway with any of them.
That's absolutely correct. I'm always in contact with the organizers of the honor flight. They fly out of Gulfport, Mississippi, but this is a Mississippi honor flight program. Many states do the same thing, and they're all wonderful. And we did have some concerns early on before the government shut down, in case of a government shutdown, how would this affect the memorials. And so we started the emails, the phone calls, and we really didn't get a lot of information. And finally, we got some guidance back. Hey, the parks are shut. Government shut down. The parks are closed. No admittance.
And I was looking at the signs that they posted on these barricades this morning, Representative Palazzo, and for instance, at the World War I Memorial, it is closed, quote, except for First Amendment activities. And I reread the First Amendment this morning, and it says one of our First Amendment rights is the right peaceably to assemble. So these vets, if they're closed except for First Amendment rights, then they've got a First Amendment right to peaceably assemble before these memorials. One last question before I let you go. What does this say to you, Representative Palazzo? What does this say, the fact that we have a commander-in-chief that would actually block access to these memorials to veterans? In your mind, what does that say about our current commander-in-chief?
I'd absolutely have to say that I feel like he's AWOL. He's been absent without leadership on issues, not just this issue that's so important to our World War II survivors, but to a lot of the problems facing our country today. And I have to tell you, I didn't do anything that other God-fearing Americans wouldn't have done. I just happened to be in that place at that very moment. And also, you mentioned a few other names. I'd like to say Rich Nugent from Florida was with me, Spencer Bacchus from Mississippi, from Alabama, and of course Greg Harper from Mississippi too. I didn't know if you mentioned him earlier. So we had the entire Mississippi delegation but one. And I can't thank the members of Congress enough. But hey, when you got 91 World War II veterans right beside you, knowing that they didn't cower in the face of Japanese bayonets or German machine guns, I don't think a little barricade was going to keep them from far. And I was just glad to be there to help fulfill one of their possibly last dreams.
Well, that's fantastic. They weren't going to let Hitler stop them from taking the beaches of Normandy, and they're not going to let some puny little barricades stop them from visiting the World War II Memorial. My guest has been Representative Steve Palazzo, representing the 4th District of the state of Mississippi. Representative, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to stop by and chat, and God bless you.
Well, thank you, and God bless America.
Steve Palazzo from the state of Mississippi, the escort for 91 vets from Mississippi to the World War II Memorial yesterday. Back in Tuesday with us, 888-589-8840.